Hi, friends. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us here today. This is my amazing sister Shiva, and she's going to be our student model today. She's going to demonstrate the poses for us. For today's practice, we're going to do a heart opening practice. So I suggest that you have a blanket, and the blanket should be thin enough where you can make a roll or fold it. You may also be able to use a block. If you don't have a block, that's okay. It's not that mandatory to this particular practice, but you may be able to use a couple of sturdy books and pile them on top of another and use that. So set that aside for now, and we're going to start in a seated position. So take your blanket and sit up on the edge of your blanket. And then begin to sit tall. Just ground your sitting bones down. Let the crown of the head reach up to the sky. Let the back of the neck be long. And notice if your chin is lifted, just draw the chin slightly towards your chest. And as you do, just begin to notice what's going on inside the body. So feel any sensations. Maybe around the shoulders, around the jaws, around the hips. Notice any sensations in the knees and the ankles or the toes. And then from that place of awareness, see if you like to soften the body. So maybe softening the shoulders away from the ears, maybe softening the jaws. Let the cheeks be soft. Take out any wrinkles from the forehead. Notice if you're squinting the eyes. And allow the corner of the eyes to be smooth. And then begin to notice your breath. See if you can make the inhalations and the exhalations equal length. So if you're inhaling for 4 counts, maybe you can exhale for 4 counts. Or if you're inhaling for 6 counts, exhale for the same length of inhale. And then just perhaps set an intention that as you move through the poses, stay connected with this breath. So this is going to be a nice gentle practice. We don't need to necessarily do an ujjayi breath, but I'd really like you to stay connected with your breathing pattern. Equal inhalation to exhalations. And then gently begin to open your eyes. And then as you open your eyes, we're going to start out in a tabletop pose. So come up to on all fours, and notice that when you come up to all fours, that your knees are directly underneath the hips and the wrists are directly underneath the shoulders. And we're going to move through some cat-cows here. So with your inhalation, begin to lift the chest to the front. And as you exhale, draw the belly in, tuck the tail, tuck the chin. And move through this with your own breath. Inhaling, open the chest to the front. Allow the tailbone to go up towards the sky, and exhale, pull the belly in. Let the tailbone get tucked and the chin tucked. And really articulate the vertebrae. So every single vertebrae moving on its own. Inhaling, lift the chest up. The tailbone goes up. Exhale, pull the belly in. Round the back. tuck the tailbone and tuck the chin, moving very, very slowly on your own breath. And as you lift the chest up, allow the heart to lift up so that the head lifts up. And next time you come to neutral back, your spine is neutral, take your hips all the way back to your heels to child's pose. And just pause here for a moment as you feel the compression in the hips and the knees and the ankles. With your next inhalation, coming back on tabletop pose. Take have the spine in neutral, and then take your right arm out to the side. Inhale, keep the gaze down to your left fingertips, and as you exhale, thread that right arm underneath your body. Bring your right ear to the floor. Inhaling, coming back up, arm comes out to the side. Exhaling, thread the arm underneath the body, your ear comes towards the floor. And one more time. Inhaling, right arm reaches out to the side. Exhaling, thread the right arm underneath the body and bring your right cheek or right ear down towards the floor. If the floor is too far, you can always put a blanket or a block underneath your ear so that you're able to really melt down the cheeks, the jaws towards the floor. And then notice if your left shoulder came up to the ear, can you soften the left shoulder away from the ear? If you like to, you can begin to walk your fingertips to the front of your mat, but keeping that left shoulder away from the ear. And if that's too much on the shoulder, then that's fine. You can go ahead and back up. And as you rest here, notice that the twist is happening in the thoracic spine between the shoulder blades. And notice if you're leaning to one side or the other, see that your weight is equally distributed between the two knees. So if you are leaning one way, go ahead and put equal weight on the knees. If you like to, you can raise the left arm towards the sky and put the back of your left hand on your sacrum. Again, if you went there and you feel like that's too much for the shoulders, please free to back off. These are all guidelines. These are not mandatory at all. But see that there is very little movement in the lumbar spine. So really the thoracic spine is where the twist is happening. Your upper back, the space between the shoulder blades. And then close your eyes, just noticing the twist. With your inhalation, bringing your left hand back down to the floor. Gently press your body back up to tabletop pose, stacking all the joints. Once again, your spine is neutral. Inhale, lift the chest up. Once again, send the tailbone up to the sky. Exhale, round the back, pull the belly in, and sit back on your heels, child's pose. And just notice the difference right away. Notice the space you've already created on that first side. Bring in your back, coming back on tabletop pose, again, neutral back. And with your inhalation, reach your left arm out to the side. Exhale, thread the arm underneath the body, bringing your left ear towards the floor. And moving through this with your own breath 2 more times. Inhaling, your left arm reaches out to the side. Exhaling, thread the arm underneath the body and bring your left ear, your left cheek down towards the floor. And then one more time, and then we're going to hold there. So reach the arm out and exhale. Take the arm underneath the body and then pause here. Remember again, if you need to put a block or a blanket underneath your face, that's completely fine. And if you notice here on Shiva, you can totally see that the thoracic spine, the upper back, is where the twist is happening. Notice if you're leaning to one side or another, can you make sure that you put equal weight on both knees? And really send your breath to the space behind the heart space, between the shoulders, where you're twisting the spine. Take a nice deep inhalation. You can reach the right arm to the front of the mat if you like to. Again, if that creates too much tension on the shoulder, feel free to back up. If you like to go a little bit deeper, and remember, deeper doesn't necessarily mean better, you can raise the right arm up towards the sky and bring the right hand to your sacrum. And that just allows for more shoulder opening, more heart opening. But really just allow the jaws, the left jaws, to melt down towards the floor. With your next inhalation, releasing your right hand down to the floor, press down through the palm of your right hand to lift your torso back up to tabletop pose. And inhale, lift the chest up into your cow pose, and exhale, pull the belly in, round the back, tuck the tailbone, tuck the chin. And then walking your fingertips a little bit more towards the front of the mat. Bring your elbows down towards the floor. So this might be a good enough place to stay for some of us. This is a modified puppy pose. If you like to go a little bit deeper, you can walk your fingertips closer to the front of your mat a little bit more, and allow the chest and the forehead to melt down towards the floor. Now notice that the hips are still right above the knees. So it's not a child's pose, it's a little bit different. The hips are still being sent up towards the sky. You're softening through the back of your heart space, softening between the shoulder blades. Allow that space to really melt down towards the floor. If you like to, you can continue walking your fingertips towards the front of your mat to let that softening the back of the heart space happen. See what works best for you in this pose. And then send your breath to wherever you're feeling the stretch. You may even be feeling some stretch in the triceps, softening the jaws, letting the hips lift up towards the sky. And then slowly begin to come back up on your hands. Press yourself back up on all fours, tabletop pose, and then bring your chest down, your chin down, so you're coming all the way back down on your belly. Bring your elbows directly underneath the shoulders, so your elbows are a 90-degree angle directly underneath the shoulders. You're lifting the chest up into Sphinx pose. Allow the forearms to rest on the floor, bringing your hands down. You can spread the fingertips wide apart from each other. Very nice. Elbows are hugged in. And we're going to make this a really passive Sphinx pose for right now. So I want you to let the hips be really soft. You're not squeezing the buttocks at all. Allow the heels to fall away from each other. The lower body is completely relaxed. And if you want to, you can even allow the head to fall forward. So the chin is falling forward. You might feel a nice stretch in the back of the neck, the scaling muscles. And you're inhaling to into your chest and creating a back bend without really creating any compression in the low back. If you like to, you can rotate your neck side to side, so taking your chin towards your right shoulder, then back to the center, and then you can take your chin towards your left shoulder and back to the center. And if you like to, you can make it a little bit deeper, lifting the chest up just a little bit more and bring your chin to your right shoulder and maybe your gaze over the right shoulder. Very nice. And then taking your gaze back to the center and take your chin to the left shoulder and look over your left shoulder. Very nice. These muscles, especially if you tend to work on your laptop, great muscles to stretch, the scaling muscles. And press down firmly. Now we're going to make this a little bit of a more active sphinx. So press down firmly through your forearms, your hands pressing down, the inner edges of your fingers pressing down, especially the webbing between the thumb and the index finger. And as you inhale, lift the chest up. Allow the heart to lift up through the collarbone. Really press down through your pelvis, press down to the top of your feet, lift the heart up a little bit more. Inhale and exhale, fold forward, stacking your fingertips on top of another and resting your forehead on top of your stacked hands in crocodile pose. And just pause here for a moment. Let the armpits melt down towards the floor. Then as you're ready, gently begin to press back up to tabletop pose. Inhale the right leg up behind you and exhale, step your right foot in between the hands and come into a low lunge. So in the low lunge, you may be able to use a block. You may be able to put a blanket underneath the left knee. Do what it takes to really support your body. So the block can be under your left hand if you need one, or you can put the blanket under your left knee. And then just initially let the hips melt down towards the floor. So soften the hips down towards the floor. Feel a nice stretch in the quadriceps. And then maybe you can lift the torso up a little bit at a time, or gently begin to lift the torso up so you can interlace your fingers on top of the right thigh. As you do that, take your left hand to your left hip and then just kind of scrub that left thigh, the left upper thigh down towards your knee. That's right. And then do the opposite where you're lifting the low belly up towards your chest. Good. And as you do that, you notice that you are automatically shifting your hips back. So the tailbone is now going towards the floor. Good. Now you can go ahead and interlace your fingers on top of that right knee. Keep the engagement of the left quadricep and then lean your weight forward. Feel a nice stretch on that entire left side, so the thigh muscles from your knees all the way to the hips. Lift the sternum up to the sky and then release the arms behind you. Interlace the fingertips, palms up. Maybe begin to lift the palms away from your hips. Soften the shoulders away. Lift the chest up. Very nice. Keep the core engaged as you lift the chest up. Inhale. Very nice. And then feel the expansion all the way across the chest from one shoulder to the other. And exhale, release your arms all the way back down. Back into tabletop pose. Taking your right leg back behind you. And back to tabletop pose. And I'm sorry, I have to remove that ant crawling up on your shirt. And inhale, taking your left leg back behind you. Exhale, step the left foot in between the hands, come into a low lunge. Yeah, and if you need to, feel free to put a blanket under that right knee. Use the block if you need to. Really take care of your body. Let your hips melt down towards the floor. And initially, maybe lifting one arm up, maybe lifting both arms up. Interlace your fingers on top of the left thigh, and then bring your hips back towards your back heel. Do the same thing that you did on that side. So scrubbing the upper thigh down first, create that downward movement. Then do the opposite where you're lifting the lower belly up towards the chest, engaging the core. You can interlace your fingers on top of your left thigh once again. As you notice, you've already been able to come all the way back up, and then engaging that core, keeping the engagement of that right thigh, then you can come forward a little bit at a time. So as you see, she's already created a back bend in her upper back. Inhaling, lift the chest up. Exhale, you can take your arms behind you, interlace your fingers, and then lift the arms away from the hips, lift the chest open. Inhaling, allow your heart to shine up towards the sky. Lift the sternum up, and exhale. Slowly begin to release out of the pose, bringing your hands all the way down to the earth. Tuck your toes under, and then slowly begin to lift your knees off the ground and lift your hips all the way up to the sky. So in your first downward facing dog, do whatever comes organically. Maybe you like to bend one knee, straighten the other. Maybe you like to wag your tail a little side to side. Do whatever feels good in this moment. And notice if the shoulders crept up, can you create enough space between the shoulders and the ears, sending the sitting bones up to the sky. Bend the knees deep. In fact, walk your toes in just a little bit more so you allow your hips to lift up a little bit more. Lift the heels off the ground. Bend the knees a little bit deeper. There you go. And then notice which part of your back you need to either fill in or soften. We all have a space, either upper back or lower back, where we either need to fill in or soften. Notice which it is for you. And as you find that space, really press down through the base of all 10 fingers. Begin to externally rotate the upper arms, so your triceps away from each other as the forearms come towards each other. Lift the hips up towards the sky. Inhale and exhale. Bring your knees all the way down to the earth. Bringing your chest down, your chin down, and then sliver forward to come in to low cobra. Inhale, lift the chest up, and exhaling, we're just gonna come all the way back up on tabletop pose and sit back. So find a comfortable seat and then begin to extend your legs to the front of your mat. Yes, extend your legs to the front of your mat. Very nice. Now draw the right knee towards your chest. Interlace your fingers around the shin. As you inhale, begin to lift the left arm up. Engage that left leg. So left leg is nice and energized. Crown of the head reaches up towards the sky. Back is nice and tall. Inhaling, lifting the left arm straight up to the sky. Exhale, begin to hook the right knee with your left arm. That's it. Now Some of you may be able to take your right hand and put it on top of a block. Maybe you don't need it, that's fine. But the block allows you to sit tall. So notice if you need a block or not. If you don't, that's fine. Let the spine be tall, long. So as you're grounding down through both sitting bones, you're lifting up through the spine. Again, the rotation, the twist is happening in the thoracic spine. The crown of your head is reaching up to the sky. You can gently take your gaze over the right shoulder. Notice if you're leaning back or forward, can you find the central axis of your back, your spine, and rotate on that central axis. And connect back with the breath. With each inhalation, you're sitting taller. With your exhalation, you can twist. On the next inhalation, unwind your spine, coming back to the center. Your gaze goes to the front. And then just let that right knee go out to the side. So keep the sole of your right foot to the inside of the left leg. You can use a block here if you like to. Put the block on the outside behind the left knee. Your elbow can rest on the block or on top of your left thigh. Inhale, putting your right hand on your right hip. Begin to open your torso to the right. So make this more of a side bend instead of a forward bend. Maybe you can use your block on top of that left knee. So if you put your left elbow on top of the block, you can sit up a little bit taller, and that gives you more space to rotate your torso to the right. Softening the right shoulder. Think about rotating the left rib cage towards the sky. Inhale, raise the right arm overhead, and it really depends on you. You can rest your right hand on the back of your scalp, whatever is best for you. We're going to stay here for a couple minutes. So if you feel like your right arm is going to fall asleep, you can just rest your hand on the back of your scalp, or even bring your right arm down. Make this more of a side bend. So feeling that you can, as you stay here a little bit at a time, maybe the connective tissues begin to open up, and you can move a little bit deeper, moving the left fingertips a little bit closer to the left toes. But really begin to feel a nice stretch on that right side. The right side is where the liver is housed. So as you open up that entire side, feel that you're creating space for the liver. With your inhalation, I'd like you to visualize sending your breath to the right lung, feeling each of the muscles, the intercostal muscles between the ribs opening up. And inhale, feel your entire right lung expanding. Maybe even seeing your liver smile as this space is created on that side. Inhale. Very nice. Pause here just for a few more moments. And then slowly, very slowly, take your time. We're going to come out of the pose. So begin to lift your body to the center, unwind, bringing your torso to the front, extend both legs to the front. And this entirely is up to you. Sometimes it feels good to open the chest, lifting the heart up. Sometimes it feels good to fold forward. So see what organically comes to you. Do whatever your body is asking for in this moment. Beautiful. And then as you're ready, we're going to change sides. So draw the left knee towards your chest. Interlace your fingers around the left shin. And as you ground down, sit tall so the shoulders are drawn your back. Inhaling, begin to reach the right arm all the way up to the sky. Exhale, hook your right elbow around the left knee, and your left hand can rest behind you. So either choose to keep that hand on the floor, or you can put the left hand on a block. And notice if you lifted the chin up, can you draw the chin to your chest as the top of your head lifts up to the sky. Grounding down to lift up, inhale. And exhale, again noticing that you're rotating your spine on that middle axis. You can take your gaze over to the left shoulder. Sit tall, inhaling and exhaling. Close your eyes and just notice the movement of breath in the torso. And then slowly beginning to unwind, bringing the torso back to the center. Let the left knee come down to the side. The left sole of your foot is to inside the right inner thigh. You can take your right elbow to the inside of that right knee. Inhale, begin to reach the left arm up to the sky. And again, you can put that left hand behind your scalp. And as you ground down through that left hip, see that the stretch is happening on the side body. So feel free to use the block, putting your right elbow on top of the block. As you come up, you can really make this more about a side bend. And imagine that your right rib cage is rotating up towards the sky. Your left elbow is lifting up towards the sky. Very nice. Inhale, visualize that you're sending your breath to the left lung, opening the space in between each rib cage. All the intercostal muscles expanding, lifting one rib from the one below. Keeping that right leg nice and energized. Inhaling and exhaling. Slowly begin to come all the way up, facing your torso, turning your torso forward, extend both legs straight up in front of you, and we're just going to lie down on our backs. So go ahead and lie down on your back. Draw the knees towards your chest. Hug your knees in. Rock a little bit side to side. Very nice. And then gently let your feet come down towards the floor. Let your knees open up to the side, bringing the soles of your feet together in Supta Baddha Konasana, the supine butterfly pose. Allow the palms to be open. If you like to, you can take your heels a little bit further away from the groin if that's better for your knees. And then just stay here, just pause here for a moment. You can begin to maybe take your right hand to your belly and left hand to your heart. Very slowly begin to deepen your breath. As you inhale, begin to Send your breath all the way to the belly. Feel the belly expand. And with that expansion, you feel the hands rise just a little bit, that right hand. And as you exhale, feel the navel melt down towards the spine and exhale all the air out. And do this 2 more times. Each inhalation expands the belly. You feel that right hand rise a little bit. And as you exhale, the right hand falls closer to the spine. The belly falls closer to the spine. Inhaling, feel the belly expand the belly. And exhaling, the navel gets closer to the spine. And then we're going to add on to this. So this time as you inhale, feel the belly expand. Continue breathing. Feel the chest expand. And as you exhale, feel the belly soften and the chest soften. Empty all the air. And 2 more times just like this. Inhaling, the belly expands. Continue your inhalation so the chest expands. Exhaling, the belly falls and the chest empties. And 1 more time, inhale, 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 the belly expands, the chest expands, and exhale, the belly empties and the lungs empty. And then we're going to add one more component to this breath. Inhaling, the belly expands. Continue your inhalation so the chest expands. And continue with that inhalation so that your collarbone expands. And as you exhale, exhale out all the air out of the belly, out of the chest, and out of the collarbones. And do this 2 more times with your own breath. It doesn't matter how complete the breath is. It doesn't matter how deep the breath is. I want this to be your own breath. Just allow the breath to expand the belly, expand the chest, expand the collarbone, and then empty the belly, empty the chest, empty the collarbone. And you can stay here as long as you like to, continue with that breath, or just extend the legs straight into your final pose, Shavasana. And as you rest in your Shavasana, allow the toes to soften away from each other. Let the ankles be soft. Let the back of the knees be relaxed. Let the hips soften. You no longer need to control your breath. Let the belly be soft. Shoulders are soft and relaxed. Elbows resting on the floor. Palms are open in receptive pose. Back of the neck is long. Your scalp resting on the floor. Feeling the ground come up and support your entire body, all the way from your head down to your heels. And feel that you're never not supported. Let the eyes sink into the sockets. Let the tongue be heavy. Maybe even let there be space between the teeth and the lips. And begin to find your body in a state of complete rest. We're going to stay here for a few moments. So enjoy these moments of peace and rest and absolute relaxation. If you like to stay here a little bit longer, feel free to do that. Otherwise, gently begin to deepen your breath, feeling the pulsation in the palms of your hands, feeling the sensations in the bottom of your feet. Then inhaling through both nostrils, exhale out through the left. Inhale through both nostrils, exhale out through the right. And do this 2 more times to feel grounded. Inhaling through both nostrils, exhale out through the left. Inhale through both, exhale out through the right. Inhale through both nostrils, exhale out through the left. Inhaling through both nostrils, exhale out through the right. And notice which nostril you're breathing in through easier as you slowly begin to draw your knees towards your chest. Rock a little bit side to side. Then you're going to roll over to the side where it's easier to breathe out of. And as you rest here on your side for a few moments, notice this sensation of peace you've created. Maybe setting an intention to keep this state of peace for the rest of the day. With the strength in your top arm, press yourself to a comfortable seat. Bringing your hands to your heart center. Thank you so much for allowing me to share this practice with you. Have a bright day. Namaste.